Recently we heard the following words in the European Parliament during a plenary session regarding the rule of law in Poland.
Saturday, Mr. President, there were 60,000 fascists marched in the streets of Warsaw. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists. And I'm not talking about Charlottesville in America, I'm talking about Warsaw, Poland, at 300 kilometers, more or less, of Auschwitz and Birkenau. Well, I have to tell you, I thought that it should never happen in Europe, and that it should never happen also in Poland.
I would like to address these words spoken by MEP Guy Verhofstadt, the former Belgian Prime Minister and currently leader of the ADLE group in the European Parliament. Mr. Verhofstadt, you are referring to the Independence Day march that took place on 11th of November. This march has been organised annually since 2010, and yet this is the first time you've deigned to address it. You called the 60,000 people who marched fascists, neo-Nazis and white supremacists. This comment is false, insulting and slanderous. There were 4 reprehensible banners and a handful of people with racist views. These people were rightly firmly condemned by the organisers and members of the Polish government. Selectively judging the intentions of 60,000 people is intellectually dishonest and slanderous. You use the words fascist, neo-Nazis and white supremacists lightly. These words have meanings, none of which can be applied to those who celebrated the 99th anniversary of Polish independence. To misuse these words, these terms, will eventually render them worthless. Furthermore, the abuse of these words and their use out of their proper context shows disrespect to those who suffered and died at the hands of fascism and Nazism. As you are well aware, Poland was occupied by Nazi Germany. 16% of our people were killed. 1.4 million Poles were turned into forced labourers. Our capital city, Warsaw, was flattened, our economy wrecked, our country pillaged and stripped of its wealth. The Independence Day March congregates thousands of people who support a wide range of parties and have a wide range of opinions. They are there to walk down the streets of our capital city in a sea of red and white flags to celebrate that we are free. The elderly were there, war veterans, families, men and women, all sharing the same deep love of our country. You called us fascists and neo-Nazis, yet war veterans who fought the actual Nazis attended. We chanted the slogan, "Honour and glory to our heroes." Those heroes are the brave men and women of the Home Army who resisted German totalitarian rule over our country. Tens of thousands of them gave their lives for Poland. You call us white supremacists, yet this Polish man, Dr. Babet Ałądło-Aka, is taking you to court over your slanderous comments. He marched with us. We marched because we are proud Poles, proud of our history, of our endurance as a people, of our heritage, and because we are patriots who are happy to live in a free and independent country. We marched peacefully and without incidents. The same cannot be said for an event that happened that exact same day in your capital city, Brussels. 20 police officers were injured and fans celebrated the Morocco team qualifying for the World Cup. The celebrations involved a burnt car, smashed glass and looted shops. Pacifying those celebrations required the use of a water cannon. This type of behaviour, by the way, is not that unusual in your capital. These are not the first riots you've had, and the likelihood is they're not your last. Perhaps before teaching others about how to conduct their affairs, you should have your own in order. You specify that our Independence Day march took place 300 kilometers from Auschwitz, as if to insinuate that those who marched share the same values as those who committed atrocities there. It is almost as if you are implying that Poles played a role in that terrible genocide. No, Mr. Verhofstadt, we are no Nazis and we are no fascists, and nor were our forefathers. Poland never surrendered to Nazi Germany. It built the largest underground resistance network in occupied Europe. It included a designated council to aid Jews, Żegota. And this despite the fact that Poland was the only occupied country where aiding Jews was punished by death and the death of the entire family of that person. As Poland was being slowly bled, according to some estimates, 100 to 300,000 Poles met Yad Vashem criteria, having been directly engaged in rescuing Jews. Historian Richard Lucas claims it could have been 1 million Poles involved. Statistics of the Israeli War Crimes Commission indicate that less than 0.1% of Polish Gentiles collaborated with the Nazis. Perhaps you ought to look more closely at the history of your own country before you call others fascists or neo-Nazis. After all, there were pro-Nazi political organizations in both Flemish and Walloon communities before and during the war. The Belgian administrative system was very pliant and became an instrument of collaboration. Belgium offered up 40,000 volunteers to the infamous Waffen-SS. Just on a final note, you lecture Poland and talk about the rule of law, yet you were the founder of the Spinelli Group, which you named after Altieri Spinelli, a prominent former communist politician. Though Spinelli broke with the Italian Communist Party over Stalin's purges, he ran as an independent candidate from their lists in the 1979 elections. Though by then that party was merely Euro-communist or Gramscian in nature, it still relied on Marxist theory. That party, by the way, only definitively broke off with the Soviet Union in 1981 after the repression of Solidarność. You are quick to accuse people of fascism, yet you yourself are building upon the legacy of a man who was a communist and remained closely associated to that party to the end of his life, a party whose totalitarian ideology caused not only Poland great suffering, but the whole world. Oh, and by the way, the name of our capital city in English is Warsaw, not Warsaw.